green sleeve planning. That's sort of the topic that we're going to talk about today. So if you've got a chronic illness, or you or your partner or someone close to you is terminally ill, that doesn't mean that you're dying tomorrow, okay? But you're planning for the future here. There's some things that you should get in place, and today we're going to talk about it. Hi, I'm Denise and welcome to Travels in My Chair. Sometimes my subject matter that I come up with isn't exactly lovely flowers and birds. It's, the grim stuff that none of us want to deal with, and yet it's very important that we do. So if you'd stick with me today, and we'll just walk our way through it, okay? In Alberta and BC, we have a program called Green Sleeves. And Green Sleeves is basically an advanced care plan that you then put in this plastic envelope that attaches to your fridge, or you could even put it inside a cupboard. Then they give you green dots that you put on the outside of your doors, so that if the paramedics come and you're unconscious, they immediately know where to go to get all the information that they're going to require. Now, I would think that every country, province, state has got similar things to green care planning. I do an example. You live alone, or your spouse is ill, and you get dizzy, or you're even unconscious, and someone is there, and they have to phone the paramedics. Now, the paramedic, maybe you've been healthy all your life, and they've never had to come to your house, but now they do, and you can't tell them anything because, let's say you're unconscious. There's things that they need to know before that they can deal with you. And I've touched on this before in other videos, but today I'm going to go through it from the point of view of the green care planning, because that sort of puts it all in chronological order, and then you can come up with your own method. But really, if you were to phone your doctor or even hospice in your community, they would probably have a similar thing available. So when you're planning advanced care, it's going to help you evaluate your quality of life. It allows you to have a conversation with your family or a loved one, and it allows you to have someone that you trust, preferably a family member, someone very close to you, that can make the decisions for you if you're unable to. It's important that you keep your paperwork up to date. My palliative care physician suggests that I update it every year. Your meds are going to change, things in your life are going to change. You may be getting sicker, so what you did yesterday writing up for your care is not going to be effective today, so it might have to be changed. So with Green Sleeves, which is in BC and Alberta, you can get the forms from hospice, or you can get them from your doctor, and you fill them out and then maybe talk it through with your physician, because there's a couple of things on there that are a little uncomfortable, and they do ask for a lot of information. So do it on a day when you have had a good night's sleep. So if you Google advanced care planning, different things will pop up. But I don't think it's something that you necessarily should have to pay for, but you might have to just do a little bit of searching. And I say do it now while you're capable and you've got all your mental facilities working, Don't wait till it's too late. I've talked to you guys about this before, about having a representation agreement. At the very least, if you don't have all the information in an envelope handy, start by having a representation agreement. And that agreement could be drawn up and witnessed by a notary public, or you can draw it up and witness it by two non-related witnesses. And it just tells you who you trust to make all decisions about your care. And that would also include keeping them updated on your medication, any changes in your health, your doctor, anything like that. Now, day-to-day banking, you've probably got a power of attorney or something like that. And that power of attorney may be the same person as your representation agreement person. But if you go with the Green Sleeve program, this program, it'll start asking you the questions all the way through that you have to answer. And it's going to get pretty detailed. It's going to ask you who's living in the house with you, even if it's a pet, what your children, grandchildren, close friends that live nearby, their names, phone numbers, addresses, all that. It's going to ask if you're an organ donor. It's going to ask you to list all your medication. It's going to ask for your allergies, but that's very important, isn't it? If you're unconscious, you can't tell anybody that you're allergic to, like in my case, codeine. And if you don't have a relative living close by, then a very close friend, neighbor, someone that you trust be on with your care, that you know that they would make the same decisions you would make if they were in your situation, okay? Because really, if you're unconscious, who's going to speak for you? If you don't want to have all your banking information kept in this the green sleeve or similar envelope that's attached to your fridge, if that information you want in that envelope pertains to your medical condition, your doctors, family, people close to you, who to contact in case of emergency, let's say medications, what's wrong with you, that type of thing, then at least have your power of attorney or your representative, that sounds wrong. You know what I mean. You've done a representation agreement. That person, have them know where all your passwords, banking information, and everything is. Okay? Because you remember, you've got to trust this person explicitly with you. You've got to be your voice if you can't speak for yourself. And I can't tell you how important that is, because I'm at the age now where I'm seeing it with my friends, especially if it's a split family. Now we're coming talking to your palliative, you're getting ill, and now we're talking about blended families. We're talking about your finances and all your personal things. And if you've got dementia or your brain is fuzzed up from so much morphine, you can't make those decisions. It's really not fair to the people that love you in your life to have make those decisions for you, when a few weeks before perhaps you were perfectly capable of making those decisions, but you were too scared to delve deep into all that stuff. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is DNR, which is knocked me for a loop, I have to tell you. Okay, we're going to talk about DNR. In my case, I had already contacted a palliative care physician, and because I'm not actively dying, she actually has let me go. I just have to contact her if I'm having some problem with my meds and I need advice on medication. Now imagine my surprise. I thought signing a DNR is you just signed a DNR, do not resuscitate. I didn't know that there was 5 different levels. So I'm going to probably have to read some of this, okay? The one is if you're found unconscious. And this is okay. This is, you're older, you have a chronic illness. This isn't when you're like 25 in prime of your life, okay? If you're found unconscious, do you want, in a situation where you're not well anyway, do you want cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR? Yes or no? That's the first thing she shot at me. I was like, whoa. So we talked about my specific case. So I'm going to use me as an example, okay? I have metastatic breast cancer, stage 4. It's gone into my bone. Now that means that where I'm not going to die tomorrow, what I have is a terminal disease. There's no cure for my cancer. I may go into some sort of a remission where I don't have any active growing tumors, but it'll get me in the end. Okay. Maybe not tomorrow, and maybe it'll be 5 years from now, which would be wonderful. My palliative care doctor and I sat down and talked about what level of DNR I would want. I'm unconscious, the paramedics are here. Their first question, do you want to be transferred to a hospital? Do you want no CPR, but you want to have supportive care, symptom management, and keep you comfortable? Do you want to have medication that will manage acute conditions within your current setting? If in a residential care or hospital, do you want to be transferred to acute care to be kept alive? I know this is uncomfortable, guys. And then there's having no CPR at all. There would be having critical care, but not including intubation or ventilation or nothing. So we talked about it. So this is what we decided. If I'm unconscious and if I have an infection, yes, I can have antibiotics. I'm okay with blood transfusions, and some of you might not be. The reason I am is when my mother got her cancer in her bile duct, she was completely a brilliant yellow color, and it looked like she was going to probably die any day. They gave her a blood transfusion, and we got 3 extra months with her at home, where we spent wonderful time together as a family. We wouldn't have had that if she hadn't had that transfusion. She would have died probably within a couple of days. When my palliative care doctor asked me how I felt about a blood transfusion, I went, yes, certainly. Do you want artificial feeding? Or if you go into renal failure, do you want them to treat that? Feeding tubes and so forth. I said no. Now, again, I'm telling you, this is me now in my life. This is not me a year ago. This is not me a few years ago, because things changed in 2021 when my cancer came back. Things are different now. I would go into an acute care hospital if needed, but I don't want to have CPR. Now, this can be changed, and is recommended that you review it once a year and change it if that's what you want to do. My doctor signed off on it. We talked about every stage of this DNR. Because basically what you're trying to do is make it easier on your family, that they don't have to make those difficult decisions. And hey, if you're unconscious or you've had a stroke and you can't speak for yourself, your ears might still be working really well, and inside your body you're going, no, I don't want this, I don't want this. And they're going ahead and making plans on your behalf. This takes that away from them making the decisions. You've made the decisions. You've planned it with your primary care physician, or you've talked to hospice if you're, getting ready to go into the active dying stage. It doesn't matter. It's just, I've seen too many of my friends and too many of my friends' family suffering over the stupidest things. And at the end, that's what it ends up becoming. You would be absolutely shocked and surprised at what then becomes stupidly important to your loved ones who were pretty sane just a couple of weeks ago. They're also going to make you sign a form at the beginning of the DNR, that you are mentally capable of making these decisions at this time. So that, in other words, nobody's going to come along, sign your name, and make decisions when you can't do it. So it's really, really important to have this in place. And if you've got a sick spouse at home, it's important to do that too, to have it all organized. It'll make it easier in the end. And then everything goes into this envelope. It's put on my fridge. My family knows where it all is. The paramedics will know where everything is. And whatever is going to happen to me, those decisions I've made. And I went through, when I did my will, I did everything about after I die, everything, what I want to have happen. Because right now I'm in control. Right now, physically, my cancer's hurting me, but mentally, I'm okay, although some of my family members may disagree. But it's really important to stay on top of things, because at the end of the day, this is your life. And at the end of the day, it's your death. I know. Sorry to do this to you. I hate, but it's been bugging me, because I'm at the age now where I've got friends that are losing spouses. They haven't made plans. They haven't got an up-to-date will. They haven't got anything, say, about their care or what's going to happen to them. I've always been a little bit of a control freak, and I'll admit that. I like to know what's going on in my life, and I would like to control what's going on in my life. And of course, cancer doesn't allow you to do that. When you have cancer, it's up to the guy up there to decide what's going to happen to you and when it's going to happen. So while you're mentally with it and well enough, start making those plans and talk about with your doctor or hospice or whatever organization you have available in your community. Talk to them about advanced care planning. It would be nice if you have someone you can talk to about it. That isn't, like in my case, was my palliative care physician. She actually came over. When you look at the DNR form, it's pretty complicated. You know, do you want this? Do you not want this? Do you want to be kept alive at any cost? Do you want medical interference? You know, doesn't it depend on how old you are and what's going on with your health? So what you might think is important today might change tomorrow. So the two things that my doctor talked to me about was if I wanted artificial feeding, which intubated, and dialysis if I had kidney failure. And we sat down and talked about it, and she explained to me what happens during both those events. The health that I have now, we both agreed that no, I don't want that. Now you would be different maybe. Maybe you're younger, maybe your health is different. That's why it's so important to talk to someone to help you make the decisions. Because I looked at the sheet, guys. This sheet, complicated. I was just in a tizzy. I thought, well, I'm not going to deal with this because I can't understand what they're asking me. They're using like medical jargon. I don't know. But when my doctor came over, it was pretty clear, black and white. We did it. And I'm so proud of myself for doing it because it takes the pressure off my family as much as I can when the time comes. Thanks for joining me today. Please subscribe if you haven't. Like if you wish. It's been a really busy couple of months for me. I've been waiting for a new wheelchair, trying to buy a new recliner, and I'll probably talk about that next time. I think as your health changes and as you get older, and in my case I'm getting weaker, I'm more concerned about the equipment that I need in my life to make my day-to-day living easier, and maybe you could benefit from some of that information, because you know I've had to learn the hard way. Whatever. Anyway, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Send you my love. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.